A desperate decision. Ethan Reynolds sat at the worn-out wooden kitchen table, the dim glow of the overhead light casting long shadows across his tired face. The house was silent, save for the soft pattering of rain against the windows, an eerie echo of the storm raging inside him. His hands rested on a thick folder in front of him, fingers tracing the crisp edges of the adoption papers he had read and reread 100 times. His chest ached with hesitation. He knew once he signed these papers, there was no turning back. He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his graying hair as he turned his gaze toward the staircase. Lily's room. The door had remained shut for months, a barrier between him and the daughter he was losing more and more each day. 2 years ago, Lily had been unstoppable. A star athlete, a fierce competitor, a girl who lived for the thrill of movement. And now, a wheelchair. Silence. A world that had grown so small, it barely existed beyond the 4 walls of her room. Ethan swallowed hard as he glanced at the only other framed photo on the table, the last picture taken of the 3 of them before the accident. His late wife, Rachel, stood with her arms around both him and Lily, her golden hair catching the sunlight just right. She had been the glue that held everything together. When she was gone, the family's fragile foundation had crumbled. He closed his eyes, exhaustion weighing heavy on his soul. He had tried everything. Therapy, encouragement, patience, but nothing could pull Lily out of her shell. She had built walls too high, too thick, and he was running out of ways to reach her. That was when the social worker, Miss Porter, had made her suggestion. "Have you considered adoption?" At first, Ethan had nearly laughed in her face. How could he bring another child into this already broken home? Lily didn't even acknowledge him anymore. How would she react to a complete stranger? But Miss Porter's voice had been gentle yet firm. Sometimes, healing comes from unexpected places. Maybe Lily needs someone her age. Not a therapist, not a concerned father, just someone to challenge her again. And that was how he had found Mia Carter. She was 17, like Lily, a foster child who had bounced between homes for most of her life. The file described her as resilient but difficult. She had a reputation for pushing back, for resisting attachment, for being a survivor. Ethan had hesitated. He wasn't looking for trouble, but something in Mia's file had caught his eye. Mia excels in physical activities and sports. She has a natural competitive spirit. That line had clung to him like a stubborn thought. Maybe, just maybe, Mia's fire would ignite something in Lily. Or maybe it would be the biggest mistake of his life. His fingers trembled as he reached for the pen. A gust of wind rattled the windows, making the entire house groan in protest. Somewhere upstairs, he heard a muffled thud, probably Lily tossing something off her desk out of frustration. He sighed. "Please, let this work." With a deep breath, he signed the final line on the papers. 2 weeks later, the car ride home from the adoption center was quiet. Too quiet. Mia sat in the passenger seat, her arms crossed over her chest, staring blankly out the Rain Street window. She hadn't said much since meeting Ethan in person. Just a few short, clipped answers and a nod when asked if she was hungry. Ethan stole a glance at her. She was smaller than Lily, with jet black hair cropped short and piercing dark eyes that held a guarded intensity. There was something about the way she carried herself, like she was ready to run at any moment. "You can listen to music if you want," he offered, trying to ease the tension. Mia shrugged. "I'm good." Silence stretched between them again. Ethan cleared his throat. "So, do you like sports? I read in your file that you used to do gymnastics." Mia smirked, finally turning to look at him. "You really went through my file, huh?" He chuckled nervously. "Well, yeah. I wanted to know a little bit about you." Mia leaned back against the seat, tilting her head toward him. "And what else did it say? That I don't follow rules? That I have a bad attitude?" Ethan sighed. "It said you've been through a lot, and that you're strong." Mia's smirk faltered slightly. She looked away, biting the inside of her cheek. They pulled into the driveway. The house loomed before them, its once warm and inviting presence now feeling cold under the weight of everything unsaid. The porch light flickered as rain continued to drizzle, casting the house in an eerie glow. Ethan turned off the ignition. "Welcome home, Mia." She hesitated before unbuckling her seatbelt. "We'll see." Inside the war zone, Lily was waiting. Ethan barely had time to step inside before he heard her voice from the top of the staircase. "What the hell is this?" Mia looked up, unimpressed. "Nice to meet you too." Lily's hands clenched the wheels of her chair. Her sharp blue eyes burned with disbelief. "Dad, are you kidding me? You actually..." She turned her glare to Mia. "You live here now?" Ethan took a slow breath. "Lily. Unbelievable." Lily scoffed, spinning her wheelchair around and rolling toward her room. Mia let out a low whistle. "Wow. Real warm welcome." Ethan rubbed his temples. "This is going to be harder than I thought." He turned to Mia. "Give her time." Mia dropped her bag by the stairs. "I'm used to people not wanting me around." Ethan's heart twisted. "That's not what this is." Mia just shrugged. "Sure." Before he could say anything else, she grabbed her bag and walked toward the guest room. Ethan let out a slow breath. He had hoped that bringing Mia into their home would somehow make things better, but now, standing in the middle of a house filled with tension so thick it felt suffocating, he wasn't so sure. Maybe he had just made everything worse. Upstairs, Lily sat in her wheelchair, staring at her reflection in the dark window. Her hands trembled. She didn't care who Mia was. She didn't care about Ethan's stupid plan. She would not let some stranger walk into her life and pretend things could ever be normal again. But what Lily didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Mia wasn't just another lost foster kid. She had a secret, one that would change everything. The fire and the storm. Mia woke up to the sound of rain hammering against the window. The room was dim, the sky outside a blanket of stormy gray. For a moment, she forgot where she was. The bed beneath her felt unfamiliar, softer than the one she had grown used to in various foster homes. The scent of fresh laundry clung to the blanket, a strange contrast to the musty, overused sheets she had known before. She sat up slowly, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. Her backpack lay against the wall, the only familiar thing in this room. Day 1. She knew how this went. She'd been through it too many times before. A new house, a new room, a new set of expectations she would inevitably fail to meet. She would either be too quiet or too loud, too rebellious or too distant, too much or not enough. And then, just like always, it would end. Because it always did. Mia exhaled sharply and pulled on her hoodie before making her way downstairs. She could hear the faint clatter of dishes in the kitchen, followed by Ethan's voice, soft but strained. "Come on, Lily. At least have some eggs. You haven't eaten since yesterday." Silence. Mia stopped just before the kitchen doorway, peeking in. Lily sat at the table, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. The plate in front of her was untouched. Her sharp blue eyes flickered toward Ethan, then away. "I'm not hungry," Lily said flatly. Ethan sighed. "Lily, not hungry," she repeated, her voice harder this time. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, frustration flickering across his face before he sighed again. He turned toward the counter, mumbling something under his breath. Mia decided then and there that she didn't care what Lily thought of her. She didn't care about her glares, her coldness, or the walls she had built around herself. But she hated that look on Ethan's face, the look of a man trying to hold something together with shaking hands. Mia stepped into the kitchen, hands in her hoodie pockets. "Yo, you gonna eat that?" Lily snapped her head toward her, scowling. "Excuse me?" Mia nodded toward the untouched plate. "If you're not eating, I'll take it." Ethan looked startled by the sudden intrusion. but he didn't say anything. Lily's eyes narrowed. What, you think I'm just gonna give you my food? Mia smirked, grabbing a fork from the counter. Well, I mean, yeah, you clearly don't want it. Lily clenched her jaw. Fine. She grabbed the plate and slid it across the table. Fast. Too fast. Mia barely caught it before it tipped over the edge. She raised an eyebrow. Wow. Generous and dramatic. Lily crossed her arms, expression cold. Don't get comfortable here. Mia shrugged. Too late. She stabbed a bite of eggs, chewing with exaggerated slowness, making a show of how much she enjoyed it. Lily looked ready to murder her. Ethan coughed awkwardly, clearly unsure if he should intervene. Mia grinned. Man, this is good. Thanks, sis. Lily recoiled like she'd been slapped. We are not sisters. Yet, Maya said with a wink before stuffing another bite in her mouth. Ethan, despite himself, let out a chuckle. He quickly covered it with a cough when Lily shot him a betrayed look. Mia leaned back in her chair, tapping her fork against the plate. All right, I'm gonna be real with you, Lily. I get it. You don't like me. You probably wish I wasn't here. Lily's silence confirmed it. Mia continued. Cool. I don't care. She popped another bite into her mouth. But I'm here. And whether you like it or not, I'm not gonna tiptoe around you. Lily's fingers curled into fists in her lap. Then don't expect me to tiptoe around you. Mia's grin widened. Now that is the kind of energy I respect. Ethan sighed, rubbing his temples. Okay, maybe we can dial it back a little. Mia pushed the empty plate away and stood. All right. Well, I'm gonna go explore. You guys enjoy your morning of awkward silence. With that, she strolled out of the kitchen, leaving Ethan shaking his head and Lily fuming. The storm that never left. Lily sat at the window, staring outside as the rain continued to fall. She was still angry. Angry at Mia for barging into her home. Angry at her father for thinking he could fix things. But most of all, she was angry at herself. Because for the first time in months, she had felt something. Not just sadness. Not just emptiness. But something else. Something sharp and familiar. It took her a moment to recognize it. Competition. Lily clenched her jaw. Maya thought she could just walk in and take over. That she could throw challenges at her and win. No, she wasn't going to win. Lily wheeled herself away from the window and toward her closet. There, buried beneath the clothes she no longer wore, was a box. She hesitated before pulling it out. Inside lay her old gloves. Fingerless, worn down from use, once belonging to a girl who had spent hours training in the gym, pushing herself past every limit. A girl who didn't exist anymore. She ran her fingers over the fabric. Who are you kidding? A voice whispered in her mind. You can't do this anymore. But another voice, one she hadn't heard in a long time, pushed back. Can't I? She stared at the gloves for a long time. Then, slowly, she slipped them on. Mia's secret. Maya stood in the backyard, letting the rain soak into her hoodie. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath of the damp air. This place was nothing like the other homes she had been in. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't broken. It was just something else. She glanced at the house behind her, her gaze landing on the upstairs window. Lily's room. Mia's smirk faded. She knew Lily. Not personally, but she knew that look in her eyes. The look of someone who had lost everything. And she knew what it meant to fight against that kind of loss. Mia rolled up her sleeves, revealing the faint scars on her arms, reminders of the battles she had fought long before coming here. The one she had survived. She clenched her fists. Lily thought she was the only one who had lost something. The only one who knew what it meant to have your entire world ripped away. She had no idea. But she would learn soon enough. Because Mia wasn't here to take over. She was here to win. And in order to win, she needed Lily to fight back. one way or another. Sparks in the darkness. The challenge that shouldn't have happened. Lily sat in her wheelchair, her fingers curled into fists on her lap. The weight of her old fighting gloves pressed against her palms. It had been months since she had even touched them. Months since she had felt the burning fire of competition thrumming through her veins. Yet here she was, wearing them again. She had sworn she would never fight again. But Mia had changed something inside her. The smug look on her face, the way she acted like she belonged here, the way she treated Lily as if she were just another girl, not some broken thing to be pitied. It infuriated her, and it awakened something she had buried. A need to prove herself. Lily glanced in the mirror. Her reflection stared back, pale and thin, shadows under her sharp blue eyes. She barely recognized the girl looking at her. Once she had been strong. Once she had been feared in the ring. Now she was just a girl in a wheelchair. A girl who had lost. Her hands tightened. No, she wasn't going to lose again. She grabbed her gloves and wheeled out of her room. Mia was in the backyard again, practicing movements against the cold air. She wasn't doing much, just shadowboxing, throwing lazy jabs and dodging imaginary opponents. She wasn't serious about it. Not yet. But when she turned and saw Lily rolling toward her, something in the air shifted. Lily's face was cold, but there was a fire in her eyes. She threw something at Mia's feet. The gloves. Mia raised an eyebrow. You sure about this, princess? Lily's jaw tightened. One match. No holding back. Mia crossed her arms. You really want to do this? Lily's voice was steel. Are you scared? Mia let out a slow whistle. All right then. She reached down, picking up the gloves. For the first time, she saw Lily not as the girl in the wheelchair, but as a fighter. And fighters didn't back down. The fight begins. Ethan had no idea what was happening until he stepped onto the back porch and saw the two girls facing off. Mia stood with her fists raised, a smirk on her lips. Lily was in her wheelchair, her arms taut with tension, her eyes locked on Mia with fierce determination. Ethan's stomach twisted. What the hell is going on here? He demanded. Neither of them looked at him. Lily spoke first. We're settling something. Ethan's hands clenched at his sides. No, you're not. Lily, this isn't. Dad, stop. Ethan's breath caught. Lily rarely interrupted him, and she had never looked at him the way she did now. She wasn't fragile. She wasn't broken. She was something else entirely. Mia grinned, rolling her shoulders. Relax, Ethan. No one's gonna get hurt. Much. Ethan groaned. You two are unbelievable. Lily kept her gaze on Mia. Ready? Mia slipped on her gloves. Always. And just like that, the fight began. A battle of fire and ice. Lily knew she had one advantage. Speed. She couldn't stand, couldn't dodge the way she once did, but she could move. Her wheelchair was an extension of her now, something she had learned to maneuver as naturally as breathing. She darted forward, faster than Mia expected. Mia barely dodged as Lily's fist shot out. Whoa! Mia stumbled back, grinning. All right. I see you. Lily didn't respond. She just attacked again. Mia met her with a block, the impact sending a shock through her arm. She had underestimated Lily. Big mistake. Lily twisted the chair, spinning in an unexpected move, catching Mia off guard. Her fist connected with Mia's ribs. Mia coughed, stepping back. Okay, Maya said, shaking her arms out. Guess we're not playing nice. Lily smirked. I told you. No holding back. Mia's expression changed. The playful teasing was gone. She raised her fists properly this time, and then she attacked. Lily ducked, spinning her wheelchair to dodge the blow, but Mia was faster than she looked. Her foot tapped the back of Lily's chair, forcing her into an awkward turn. Lily's heart pounded. She needed to be smarter. She needed to be faster, and she needed to win. Ethan's worst fear. Ethan watched from the sidelines, his heart in his throat. He didn't know whether to stop this or let it happen. Lily looked alive in a way she hadn't in months. But that didn't mean she couldn't get hurt. He almost stepped forward, almost called out to stop them, until he saw it. Lily's expression. She wasn't scared. She wasn't fragile. She was fighting. She was living. And so, for the first time, he let go of his fear. And he watched. The moment everything changed. The fight reached a boiling point. Mia lunged forward, aiming a punch at Lily's shoulder. But Lily saw it coming. In a move so quick Ethan barely understood what happened, Lily launched herself out of the wheelchair. Mia's eyes widened in shock as Lily grabbed onto her arm, using the momentum to pull herself up. Lily landed hard, using Mia's body to steady herself. For one glorious second, she was standing. Ethan's breath caught. Mia's eyes were wide. Lily was shaking, muscles trembling, but she didn't fall. She stood, fists raised, staring at Mia like she had just rewritten the rules of the world. The storm outside raged on, but the real storm was happening inside them. Mia stepped back, grinning. "Well, Dan." Lily let out a sharp breath. And then, her legs gave out. Mia caught her before she hit the ground. They sank into the mud together, breathless, shocked, and utterly transformed. For the first time in a long time, Lily felt something other than pain. She felt powerful. And Mia finally understood why she was here. Because this wasn't just about fighting. This was about saving each other. Aftermath. Ethan ran over, his heart racing. Lily. She looked up at him, and for the first time in months, she smiled. Not a small, sad smile. A real one. "I stood up," she whispered. Ethan knelt beside her, his throat tight. He reached out, brushing a piece of wet hair from her face. "Yeah, you did." Mia sat beside them, stretching her arms. "You're stronger than you think, princess." Lily turned to her, and then, to Ethan's complete shock, she laughed. A real, unfiltered laugh. Mia smirked. "Oh, now you like me." Lily rolled her eyes, but didn't answer. Ethan ran a hand over his face, shaking his head in disbelief. Maybe, just maybe, bringing Mia here hadn't been such a mistake after all. The unspoken truths. A change in the air. For the first time in months, the house didn't feel like a prison. Lily sat at the kitchen table, sipping on a glass of water. Her arms ached from the fight, her muscles sore in a way she hadn't felt in so long. But it wasn't the kind of pain that made her feel weak. It was the kind that reminded her she was still alive. Across from her, Mia sat with an ice pack pressed against her ribs. A slow smirk tugged at her lips. "You really didn't hold back, huh?" Mia said, wincing as she adjusted in her seat. Lily glanced at her, a small smirk of her own forming. "You asked for it." Ethan leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching the two girls with a mixture of amusement and exasperation. "I still can't believe you two actually went through with that." Mia grinned. I think she needed it. Lily's smirk faded, and for a moment, something unreadable flickered in her eyes. She knew Mia was right. She had needed to fight. Not just for herself, but for everything she had lost. For her mother. For the girl she used to be. For the future she thought was stolen from her. But as much as the fight had given her a new sense of determination, it also left her with questions. About herself. And about Mia. Because something wasn't adding up. And Lily was determined to find out what it was. Mia's past begins to surface. Later that night, as rain drizzled against the windows, Lily sat in her wheelchair outside Mia's bedroom door. She hesitated for a moment before knocking. "Come in," Mia's voice called. Lily pushed the door open, rolling inside. Mia was sitting on the floor, her back against the bed, flipping through a worn-out book. It wasn't a novel. It was old, creased, with pages sticking out at odd angles. A scrapbook. Lily's eyes caught a glimpse of one of the pictures inside. It was of a little girl, younger than Mia, standing next to a woman with dark eyes and a kind smile. Lily frowned. "Who's that?" Mia's body tensed. She quickly shut the book and placed it beside her. "No one." Lily raised an eyebrow. "Doesn't look like no one." Mia exhaled sharply, rubbing her temples. "Why are you here, Lily?" Lily crossed her arms. "You're hiding something, and I want to know what." Mia let out a dry laugh. "Wow, that's rich coming from you." Lily frowned. Mia shook her head. "You act like you're the only one in the world who's ever been through something painful, like you're the only one allowed to shut people out. Newsflash, princess, pain isn't exclusive to you." Lily's chest tightened. "I never said." "You didn't have to," Mia cut her off. The words stung because they were true. Lily had spent so long wallowing in her own suffering that she hadn't even considered Mia's. A tense silence settled between them. Then, after a long pause, Mia sighed. She picked up the scrapbook and ran her fingers over the cover. "My mom used to make these," she said, her voice quieter now. "One for every year of my life." Lily watched as Mia hesitated, then opened the book again. She turned a few pages, then stopped at one that had a picture of a younger Mia in a karate uniform, standing next to the same woman from before. "She taught me how to fight," Mia said. Lily stared at the image. "Your mom?" Mia nodded. "She was the strongest person I ever knew. She could have gone pro, but she chose to teach instead." Lily swallowed. "What happened to her?" Mia's jaw tightened. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "She died." Lily's breath caught. Mia's fingers curled around the edges of the scrapbook. "It was a car accident. A drunk driver. She was coming to pick me up from practice. And," she trailed off, looking away. "I never saw her again." Lily didn't know what to say. For so long, she had thought of Mia as an intruder, as someone who had come into her home and disrupted everything. But she had never stopped to think about why Mia was here. Mia had lost someone too. And maybe this wasn't just about Ethan trying to help her. Maybe he had been trying to help Mia too. A different kind of strength. The air in the room was heavy. Lily took a slow breath before saying, "I'm sorry." Mia let out a small, humorless chuckle. "Yeah, me too." Lily hesitated, then reached out, her fingers brushing the edge of the scrapbook. "You really loved her, huh?" Mia nodded. "More than anything." Lily's throat tightened. She understood that feeling all too well. For the first time, she saw Mia as something more than just the stubborn girl who had turned her world upside down. She saw someone who was just as lost as she was. Someone who was hurting. And suddenly, for the first time in a long time, Lily didn't feel so alone. Mia glanced at her, an almost sheepish expression crossing her face. "Guess that explains why I don't take crap from anyone, huh?" Lily let out a small laugh. "Yeah, that, and the fact that you're kind of an idiot." Mia smirked. "Takes one to know one, princess." Lily shook her head, a smile tugging at her lips. It was small, but it was real. And for the first time, she didn't mind Mia being here. A new beginning. The days that followed were different. Lily no longer avoided Mia. Mia no longer pushed Lily's buttons just to get a reaction. And Ethan finally felt like the house wasn't suffocating anymore. The girls still bickered, of course. They still challenged each other, still had their moments of stubbornness. But something had shifted between them. They weren't enemies anymore. They were something else entirely. Maybe not sisters. Not yet. But something close. And as Ethan stood in the doorway one afternoon, watching as Mia and Lily argued over what movie to watch, a warmth spread in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, This family wasn't broken after all. Maybe it was just beginning to heal. Shadows of the past. The calm before the storm. For the first time, in what felt like an eternity, Lily felt lighter. She wouldn't call it happiness, not yet, but there was a shift in the air, a quiet understanding between her and Mia that hadn't been there before. They weren't best friends. They weren't exactly sisters, but they weren't enemies anymore. And that alone was enough for now. Sitting in the living room, Lily flipped through one of her old sketchbooks. The pages were filled with half-finished drawings, some from before the accident, some from the dark months after. She had always loved drawing. Before she lost her legs, she used to sit outside for hours, sketching everything from trees to city skylines. It was how she had made sense of the world. But after the accident, she had stopped. Stopped drawing. Stopped living. Mia plopped down on the couch beside her, peering over her shoulder. "You drew all of these." Lily shrugged. "Yeah, a long time ago." Mia tilted her head. "Why'd you stop?" Lily's fingers tightened around the edges of the book. "I don't know," she lied. Mia didn't push, but Lily could feel her staring. And for the first time, she found herself wondering, why had she stopped? She still had her hands. She still had her talent. So why had she let that part of herself disappear along with her legs? Before she could think too deeply about it, Ethan walked into the room, a strange expression on his face. "Lily," he said, "there's someone here to see you." Lily frowned. "Who?" Ethan hesitated. Then he stepped aside, and Lily felt her stomach drop. Because standing in the doorway, his hands shoved deep into his pockets, his gaze filled with uncertainty, was Jordan. The boy who had once been her best friend. The boy who had abandoned her when she needed him the most. A ghost from the past. Lily's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't seen Jordan in over a year. Not since the accident. Not since the day she woke up in the hospital, broken and terrified, only to realize that the people she thought would be there for her weren't. Jordan had disappeared. No texts. No visits. Nothing. And now, here he was, standing in her living room like nothing had happened. Mia glanced between them, her expression unreadable. Ethan cleared his throat. "I'll give you two a moment." Lily wanted to tell him no. She wanted to tell him to make Jordan leave, to slam the door in his face the way Jordan had slammed it in hers. But she didn't, because despite everything, despite the anger bubbling in her chest, she needed to know why. Why he had abandoned her, why he had come back now. As soon as Ethan and Mia left the room, Lily crossed her arms. "You've got 5 minutes." Jordan let out a shaky breath. "Lily, I don't," she snapped. "You don't get to say my name like we're still friends. Not after you walked away." Guilt flashed across his face. I know I messed up. Messed up." Lily laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You left me, Jordan. I lost everything. And you." Her voice cracked. "You weren't there." Jordan ran a hand through his hair, looking miserable. "I was scared, okay." Lily froze. "Scared?" she echoed. "Of what?" "I was the one who lost my legs." Jordan winced. "I know. And I hated myself for it. But I didn't know how to face you. I didn't know what to say." Lily clenched her fists. "So you just left?" Jordan nodded, shame written all over his face. "Yeah. And it was the worst mistake of my life." The room fell into silence. Lily's heart pounded in her chest, a storm of emotion swirling inside her. She wanted to hate him. She should hate him. But part of her still ached at the memory of who they used to be. Of late-night movie marathons. Of inside jokes that only they understood. Of a friendship that had once felt unbreakable. Jordan took a step forward. "I know I can't change what I did. But I want to make things right. If you'll let me." Lily wanted to scream. Wanted to tell him it was too late. But the words wouldn't come. Because deep down, she wasn't sure if that was true. Mia's warning. After Jordan left, Lily sat in her room, staring at the ceiling. Her emotions were a tangled mess, and she didn't know how to untangle them. A knock on the door made her snap out of her thoughts. Mia leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "So, what's the deal with Mr. Regret?" Lily sighed. "We used to be best friends." Mia nodded. "And now he's back. Why?" "He says he wants to fix things." Mia scoffed. "And you believe him?" Lily frowned. "I don't know." Mia sat on the edge of the bed. "Look, I get it. People from our past have a way of showing up when we least expect them. And sometimes they mean well. But sometimes," she hesitated, "sometimes they only show up when they need something." Lily's stomach twisted. "You think that's what he's doing?" Mia shrugged. "I don't know him. But I do know this. If he really cared, he wouldn't have left in the first place." Lily bit her lip. Mia wasn't wrong. But part of her wanted to believe that people could change, that friendships could be repaired, that maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have to lose everything. Mia patted her knee. "Just don't let him break you again, okay?" Lily nodded. "Okay." But deep down, she wasn't sure if she meant it. Because despite everything, she still wanted to believe in second chances, a choice that changes everything. The next morning, Lily found herself outside for the first time in months. The cool breeze brushed against her skin, and for a moment, she closed her eyes, letting it wash over her. Maya stood beside her, hands shoved into her jacket pockets. "So what now?" Lily opened her eyes, glancing at the sketchbook resting in her lap. "I think I want to start drawing again," she admitted. Mia smirked. "Good. You were starting to get way too moody without a hottie." Lily laughed, shaking her head. Then in the distance, she saw him. Jordan, standing by the gate, waiting. Mia followed her gaze, her expression hardening. "You sure about this?" Lily took a deep breath, and for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was in control. "No," she admitted, "but I think it's time to find out." Mia nodded. "Then let's do it." Together, they made their way toward the past, toward the answers Lily had been avoiding for so long. And whatever happened next, she knew she wouldn't face it alone. The miracle no one saw coming. Confronting the past. Lily's heart pounded as she rolled her wheelchair toward the front gate. Mia walked beside her, arms crossed, her eyes locked onto Jordan like a watchdog ready to pounce. Jordan stood there, shifting nervously, his hands tucked into his hoodie pockets. The morning sun cast long shadows, but his face was full of uncertainty, not the confidence she remembered from before. Lily took a deep breath. "I need answers." She stopped a few feet away from him. "All right, Jordan. You showed up. Now talk." Jordan hesitated, then let out a shaky breath. "I was a coward," he admitted. "When you got hurt, I couldn't handle it. I didn't know what to say, what to do. And I hated myself for it." Lily clenched her jaw. "So you disappeared, just like that?" Jordan nodded, shame in his eyes. "Yeah, and I regretted it every day." Mia scoffed. "Convenient timing, don't you think? Showing up now." Jordan turned to Mia. "I get why you don't trust me. I wouldn't either. But I'm not here for myself. I came because I saw your name on the upcoming wheelchair basketball roster." Lily froze. Her name. On a roster. She turned sharply toward Mia. "What is he talking about?" Mia sighed, rubbing her temple. "I signed you up for a training session. I knew you wouldn't agree if I asked. I figured you'd thank me later." Lily's face burned with shock and anger. "You did what?" Jordan raised his hands. "Before you get mad, hear me out. I've been helping coach a team for the past year. When I saw your name, I couldn't believe it. I had to come see if it was really you." Lily felt like the ground had just shifted beneath her. Mia had gone behind her back. Jordan had suddenly returned. And now she was being forced to face something she never thought she would. Playing sports again. Becoming an athlete. It was something she had sworn she would never do. But deep down, a tiny ember of excitement flickered. Was it possible? Could she really do this? Or would she fail all over again? A test of strength. The next afternoon, Lily sat in the gym, gripping the smooth wheels of her new sports chair. She had told herself she was just going to watch, that she wasn't committing to anything. But now, surrounded by other players, some new, some experienced, she felt something stir inside her. Fear, excitement, possibility. Jordan stood beside her. "You don't have to do this if you don't want to," he said gently, "but I think you should try." Lily swallowed hard. The old part of her, the part that had spent the past year wallowing in anger, wanted to snap at him. But another part of her, the part she had buried deep, whispered that she wanted this. That maybe, just maybe, she could belong here. Taking a deep breath, she rolled forward onto the court. The game that changed everything. The first few minutes were a disaster. Her arms ached from the effort of pushing herself across the court. The ball felt foreign in her hands, her shots clumsy and weak. Every time she tried to move fast, she lost control. Frustration burned in her chest. "I can't do this." But then, something shifted. Mia's voice cut through the noise. "Simon, Lily, you've fought worse than this. Keep going." Jordan passed her the ball. And this time, she caught it. She gritted her teeth, adjusted her grip, and took a deep breath. She aimed. She shot. And the ball sailed through the hoop. For the first time in forever, she felt powerful again. The past didn't define her. Her future was still hers to claim. And she wasn't going to waste it. The secret that changed it all. After practice, Lily sat with Mia and Jordan outside the gym. Her muscles burned, but there was a different kind of exhaustion now. One that came from doing something real. Jordan glanced at her. "I meant what I said. I'm sorry for everything, Lily. But if you'll let me, I want to be here now." Lily studied him for a long moment. Then, to her own surprise, she nodded. "Okay." Jordan let out a breath of relief. "Thank you." Mia smirked. "Well, look at that. Miracles do happen." Lily chuckled, then turned to Mia. "Speaking of miracles, why did you really come to live with us?" Mia stiffened. Then, after a long pause, she sighed. "I had a sister once," Maya said quietly. "She was in an accident too, but she didn't make it." Lily's stomach clenched. Mia swallowed hard. "I'd blamed myself for a long time. I thought, if I could help you, maybe I could make up for what I couldn't do for her." Silence hung between them. Then Lily reached over, taking Maya's hand in hers. "You did help me," she whispered. "More than you know." Mia blinked back tears. Good. For the first time, Lily realized she wasn't alone. She had lost a lot, but she had gained something too. A family. A second chance, and a future worth fighting for. The miracle. A few months later, Lily sat in the same gym, only this time, it was different. The scoreboard glowed overhead. The crowd murmured with anticipation, and Lily's heart pounded with the thrill of competition. This was it, her first real game. Ethan sat in the stands, his eyes shining with pride. Maya stood at the sidelines, cheering her on. And Jordan, her friend once again, was waiting to pass her the ball. The whistle blew. Lily rolled forward, ready to fight for the win. She had once thought her life was over. But today, she proved that it was just beginning. The past didn't break her. It made her unstoppable. And that was the real miracle.